Good afternoon and welcome back to the workbench. Today I'm having a look at this battery charger here, which is one that I've used for a while. It's for one of my digital cameras, my Sony. Anyway, I went to charge the battery the other day, and when I plugged in the power cord, it just takes one of these little figure-8 mains power cords. The whole socket flexed and bent, and there was a crackling noise, and the light didn't come on, and then I wiggled it a bit and the light did come on, and then I wiggled it some more and the light went off again. So yeah, looks like the mains input connector is coming detached from the PCB or something. So I guess I'm going to have to try and fix that so I can charge my battery. I wouldn't necessarily have to, because this thing does have a secondary input for 12 volts to 24 volts. You can run it from there, but I'd rather use the mains because it's just more convenient. So yeah, there's no particular model number on this that I can see. It's literally just called a travel charger. Yeah, there we go. It's just called a travel charger. The product name is Charger. There is literally no model number here whatsoever. So that does give you some kind of idea of the quality of this thing, which is obviously not very good. But it does seem to work. Anyway, so yeah, it's one of these sort of modular designs. I think there's a lot of them around. The top part comes off, and they just sell it with different attachments for different shaped batteries. This one has an output of 4.2 volts, but there are probably other voltages as well. Yeah, who knows about the charging circuitry, but I guess for lithium it maybe doesn't have to be that complicated. So yeah, anyway, let's open it up and see what's wrong with it. I'm going to suspect a cracked solder joint on this socket, and also it doesn't seem like the socket is mechanically held in very well with anything, so it's entirely possible that yeah, I'll have to remedy that as well. Yeah, anyway, a decent socket should clip into the PCB or something, but this one I'm not sure about. So I think there was screws under the label. If I just peel this up, yeah, there's one there. I believe I took this apart once before, a long time ago, just to look at what was in there for fun. So yeah, I remember having to pull the label up on both ends. So that's there, and I think on the other end here, yeah, there we go. So we just take out these screws, just a couple of Phillips screws, nothing strange, which is nice. Maybe I'll take this off, I'm not sure. And then I think it just all falls in half, and there we go. We've got a little circuit board in there. Yeah, pretty basic switch mode power supply, I suppose. A little mini one there, and then I guess probably an op amp or something doing comparator work for the charger. But yeah, let's have a look. Oh, I see. Yeah, this is I see the problem. Yeah, see this, see if I can get an angle on the light. You can see on the side of this socket there, the main socket, there's this groove here. Just trying to get the light on it, but you can see there's like this groove on the side of the socket here. It goes all the way around and goes on the other side as well. And typically with these, especially the way you see them in laptop chargers, for example, is that there slots into an indent, slots into a cutout in the side of the case, whereas in this design it's just butting up against this hole in the case there. So it's not actually going in. You know, that this should be cut out with a rectangle, and this should slide in to that. Well, obviously it will slide in that way, but yeah, and then that will give it the mechanical support, whereas the way they've done it here, yeah, there's not really anything holding it in place, and you can see it's all gone wobbly. Yeah, if you look here, the whole track is cracked in half and lifted off the board. So that's obviously the problem. That's not going to work. So yeah, there's not really any, unfortunately. I mean, they've got these little cutouts here for these pegs that go through, but it's not mechanically supported by anything, really, and yeah, that's the problem. It's just cracked the solder, well, cracked the track off, as you can see. So yeah, Sorry about this this camera. It's a bit annoying. Yeah, so I guess I'll just repair that trace with a piece of wire. That's not too hard. Just scratch the scratch this off, and actually probably just bridge with solder. But really, what I need to do is solve the mechanical strain issue on this plug, and that's the biggest problem here. They have put a bit of foam on top, which I suppose is meant to press against the top of the case. This is the top of the case. Yeah, it's supposed to press against that, I guess, and give it some kind of mechanical support, but even that doesn't seem to have worked, so yeah, I was wondering what these chips are. That's a 34063. Huh. Yeah, actually it looks like the primary side, I think, is probably a self-oscillating design with the two transistors. There's the switching transistor there, and then probably this other one here that drives it. We've got feedback for an opto-isolator, and that's probably a TL431 there, I would guess. Yep, that's what it is. I wonder if this will focus on it at all. Probably not. Oh yeah, there you go. You can just see that out. I think TL431A. Yeah, so that's a very standard sort of design. And then we've got this MC. What did I say it was? An MC34063, I guess, maybe acting as a I don't know, is that a dedicated lithium charge chip, possibly? That would make sense, but I think it might be just a buck regulator or something. Yeah, fascinating. Anyway, so yeah, it's not too bad, I guess. The capacitors still look fine, unlike the ones in that other battery charger I had. So yeah, I think it's just it still works fine. I just need to fix that plug. Just wondering how to do that. I suppose I could epoxy it to the board, actually. That would probably be the easiest way of solving this problem. But yeah, I think what I'll do is just put some I'll desolder it, I'll fix up the trace, and then I'll probably put some epoxy underneath it to glue it onto the top of the board. Can't really think of anything else to do. That should work. Yeah, that's probably the easiest fix to get this thing going again, so I can charge my battery. Of course, I could run it from an external supply, and like I said, it's got that 12 volt input on the side, but it's just easier to use the mains cord, isn't it? So let's do that. Alright, so let's just melt some extra solder on here. Get these warmed up nicely. And then I can take off the solder with a desoldering gun, desoldering pump, I mean. There we go. Now, let's see if I can get the other one without damaging the track too much, because I need to be able to, whoops, yeah, that pad came right off. Can see that, so that's going to be annoying. Have to fix that up, but that's okay. Let's just see. Yeah, that's the whole pad has come completely off. Yeah, that's kind of annoying, isn't it? You can see the bare board there. I was going to say FR4, but it's not. It's SRPB or something, probably. There we go. Yeah, you can see where the that pad is completely ripped off. The whole thing's broken right there. So I'll have to yeah, I mean, you could glue this back on, but there's not any point. I'll just scrap some solder from here, scrap some solder mask from here, put a nice bit of wire wrapped around there, just solder the whole thing on. And like I said, I'm going to epoxy this connector down to the board, so that'll solve that problem as well. So yeah, I'll just get rid of that. It's not really any use now. And I guess the whole connector will, yeah, just, whoops, come straight off, so the way they've bent these pins even. Yeah, like I said, not the most high quality thing in existence, but there you go. We can fix it anyway, so yeah. So what do I need? I need a knife to scrape away the solder resist. Solder resist? Is it solder resist? Yeah, it is solder resist. I know what I'm talking about. First video of 2023, and I don't know what I'm talking about. Where's a knife that works? Well, maybe that'll do. It's probably not sharp enough, but I could try it. Yeah, like I just said, so of course you wanna... Yeah, no, that's not gonna work. I think this thing is pretty blunt, actually. Can scrape off some flux residue there, but nah, that's hopeless. Okay, let me just come back and find another knife. Get something that actually works. Alright, so I just went and got a sharpened knife, and also went and got this other battery charger, which is a very similar design. Actually has a brand name to it though, and a model number and everything. Or does it? No, this doesn't have a model number either. Hilarious. Anyway, yeah, it does a much better design for the input though. This little flip out sort of thing seems a lot more robust, and then I just plug one of these on it and use it. This is for my Panasonic camera. As you can see, it has a different layout for the actual charging part, but once again it has an interchangeable thing that you can just take off, so yeah. Anyway, so that's a much better design. That's a newer design, I think. Probably I don't think they sell ones like this anymore, which is a good thing because they're not very good. Right, let's see. So you can just take a sharp knife. I'll use one of these ones of some kind. Let me see if I can hold this. I might just have to take it this way. There we go, that's working. Yeah, so you can scratch the solder mask, solder resist, whatever you want to call it. Scratch some of that off so you can get to the bare copper underneath. Obviously you want to be careful with this, you're not going to lift the rest of the trace. This is especially delicate, like if you've got a case where the track may have lifted because a component attached to it overheated, for example, or blew up. Sometimes it happens in switching power supplies, like the MOSFET might overheat and then explode, and it can cause the glue to come off, and the trace can lift when you desolder the part to replace it. Yeah, and then you got to be careful when you scrape off the solder resist on the next part to solder a wire or whatever, because you can also lift that as well because the glue is all weakened from the heat damage from the thing. Anyway, that looks good. I've scraped off some solder there, so some solder resist, sorry. Now I can just tin that. Tin both of those there. There we go. So I've got a couple of spots there, and then I'll bring the thing through and run a piece of wire around there. Try and make some kind of connection, but yeah, I'll solve the mechanical issue with some epoxy, I think. I've got some stuff here. It claims to be 5-minute epoxy, I believe. No, 4 minutes actually, but it takes about 20 minutes to cure, so yeah, either way it's a pretty decent thing, I think. I mean, I could use like JB Weld or something, but that takes a long time, so I'll go with this stuff first if I can just find where I put it. Alright, so I've got a bit of stuff here. This is actually some of the cardboard packaging for this epoxy here, which claims to dry in 4 minutes or something. But yeah, it's a bit longer than that. Anyway, it works though. It's alright. Put some of this out. Alright, so what was I saying? I think I was saying about the videos. Yeah, sorry I haven't done one for a while. Life just kind of went a bit mad for a bit. Fortunately, no more injuries or anything. Although I did manage to get COVID for Christmas, which was a bit rubbish. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, just haven't been able to do anything recently, so hopefully that will change this year. Hopefully we'll do something else. What am I saying? Yes, videos. Anyway, that will hopefully happen. This will be hopefully the first of them. I've got a disposable chopstick here from you get from sushi places. They're quite good for mixing this epoxy stuff. Just make sure it's clean. You don't really want wasabi in your epoxy. So I just mix that up on here. That should be enough, I suspect. Well, possibly. Hopefully. Anyway, let's see. Roll it up on there. I don't think this stuff needs to be mixed twice. I know with araldite you're supposed to mix it twice. This one, yeah, just says mix thoroughly and apply mixture to both surfaces before joining. And that's it. So that's pretty good. So what have we got? We've got the underside of this. Let's see, so how did that go? That's on the front, so yeah, we just need a little bit in the back here, I guess. Try not to get it on the pins, obviously, because we need to be able to solder to those. In fact, it looks like it's going to be much easier to put it on the board than it is on the connector, so I might just do that. And yeah, I mean, maybe there's better ways to do this, or other ways. But this is just the easiest, simplest way I can think of right now. Maybe if I get some on these little post things, that'll make them stick in the hole in the PCB. That might be useful. I should have mixed a little bit more up. Usually I mix far too much, and then I wonder I'm going to waste it all, so this time I decided to mix not much, and now I've probably got not enough. I don't know. Anyway, that should work. Right, now if I just put this piece of paper somewhere it's not going to ruin anything by putting epoxy all over it. Get rid of my chopstick as well. There we go. Okay, so I think that should be good enough. There's a decent amount there. Yeah, if I just oh, actually that hole's got some in it. I better clean that out first. What can I use? How about a excess piece of wire? Yeah, let's just take that off there. We don't want any epoxy sticking on the pins and making it so I can't solder them in. So there we go. So that should just stick in there alright. I might try and get a clamp to put on that of some kind. Do I have a clamp? That's a good question. I mean, I do have clamps somewhere. Hang on a moment. I'm sure I can go and find some. I think they're with my woodworking stuff. Alright, I've got a little clamp here, a little G-clamp for woodworking, but it should work for this. Assuming that I can... Hang on, I'll need to put some kind of spacer in the middle there. Otherwise I'm going to crush the pins and everything, and it's not going to work properly because it'll be held up by the thingy. What about this? A snapped off old hex driver bit for a thing. If I just sit that over here, yeah, that should work. And then if I bring this clamp in here, maybe that'll do what I want. Let's see. It may slip off as it is not straight, but no, there we go. Got it centered. I think that'll work. Will that work? Let me just see if that's actually straight. I think it is. I'll probably do if I get some light on the matter. Yeah, I don't have my lighting hooked up on this either, so I'm sorry the lighting is bad. I'm going to have to try and do something like that. I just don't have anywhere to actually hang my lights from, unfortunately, but there we go. I know, sorry you can't see this, but yeah, I think that looks all flush and good. I think that's whole, yeah. Oh, maybe not on this side. Oh yeah, there we go. I think that's... No, I think I've got that positioned pretty good. So, yeah, can I set that up anywhere? Possibly. Yeah, alright, so now we just wait 20 minutes for the epoxy to dry, which I obviously won't show because that would be very boring. Is there anything else to say? Not really. Alright, so I ended up leaving this thing for about an hour. I edited the first part of the video up to this point while I was waiting, and yeah, poking the epoxy that's sticking out on here, it feels pretty tough, so it's probably dry enough for me to handle it now and solder everything back together. So I'm just going to take this clamp off, take that out of there, and yeah, that should be on there. I don't know if that's completely set or not, but it should be good enough. I might leave it, I'll probably leave it overnight before I actually use it. I'm just not sure if that epoxy might be conductive when it's not still totally cured. I don't want to, end up having some sort of arc over underneath the socket and having it catch fire or something. So yeah, I mean, we do have 240 volts straight on there with no fuse. The fuse is over here after the socket. So yeah, we don't want to do that. So I'll probably not test it right away, but I will just solder this back together and reassemble it. So let me see, that bit will be the easiest part, and then I have to pay special attention to rebuilding some connectivity on that side. Alright, so I've got my soldering iron here now. I'm going to solder this pin back on. This one on here we just have to solder straight there. That's the easy part. Get a nice big blob there. That looks all good, I think. Hopefully, anyway. And now we got this side. So I've got a little, if I can just grab it here, I've got a little loop of wire there that I've bent around like a sort of a horseshoe shape, a loop. I will put this on here, just get it around this way, so that will go on that pin there, and I can solder it to both remaining sections of track, and then I can solder it in the middle to the pin, and that should work and give it some more mechanical stability. Not that it probably needs it, because the epoxy should do all that job, but yeah. Let's see if we can get that to work. Okay, that's not exactly aligned how I want it, so let me just get the tweezers. Sorry you can't see this, but yeah, just holding it with tweezers and aligning it so that it's correctly soldered in the right position that I want. Yeah, now I just solder the other end, and that will hold that bit in place, and then I can reflow the first side and push down on that, make sure it's alright. Actually the whole thing seems to have gone now. It's all flowed through, heated up the entire thing, which is what we want anyway. Yeah, there we go. Got a nice big blob there. That should hold it on pretty well. It looks good to me. It's connected at both ends and also firmly connected to that pin in the middle, so that looks good. Yeah, there we go. I think you can see the work. Yeah, you can see that's gone on there quite well. I just want to clean up that flux residue, because that could actually also cause arcing. I've had that before. Too much flux residue near mains rated connectors or other high voltage things it can definitely cause arcing, so you got to clean that up. Get my alcohol and thing and do that. Yeah, there we go. Got some alcohol and a cotton bud, so just clean that well in there. There's points between these two tracks where we've got all that. Yeah, it's a bit of a problem if you have that problem with it conducting, because that can happen if there's enough flux around. It will actually start conducting the voltage and arc through, and it's not very good, so we don't want that to happen. So make sure I clean that really well. Between that track there and this, whatever that is over there, I think I'll make sure that's nice and clean. That's some resistor for the transistor drive, I think, so we don't want to have any possibility of mains arcing over to that area. That would probably cause the whole thing to blow up. And yeah, obviously between these two pads we need to have it nice and clean as well. That looks pretty good. That should work. Just use a clean one to wipe off any excess that might be there, but I think that's alright. Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah, like I said, I don't think I'll plug it in just yet. That would probably, well, I don't know, it may not, but it could cause a problem. So, let's see which way around did this go. I think it went this way. Yeah, that makes sense. So that should, no wait, it goes in that side first, because that little DC jack has got to go in the back there. It's got to go out through that hole. It's a little bit tricky. It was kind of tricky to get out. There we go. Now it's in. Excellent. No, there we go. Now it's down. Alright, so that just goes back on top there. That feels a lot more stable than it did before. And we just got to put the screws on, which I have. Label, of course, has gone back down again. So I have to pick that up. There we go. And yes, I will test it. I will hook it up tomorrow and give it a test and make sure it is working. I'm not going to just cut the video there. That would be a bit sad. But yeah, that'll have to wait till tomorrow because I just want to make sure that stuff is nice and dry before I go shoving mains on it. Yeah, there we go. That's that looks good. The well, the plug is slightly on an angle. I don't think I had it fully out, as far out as it should be, but that doesn't matter. As long as it's got some good mechanical strength there, it doesn't really matter. But that's that. Yeah, the perils of bad design, poor mechanical support for connectors, especially ones that are kind of tough to plug in and ones that get quite a lot of strain on them. Yeah, and even worse, it's on the high voltage mains input, which is not the place you really want your connectors to be breaking off. Yeah, or really any power thing. High current, low voltage is no good either, but still, I mean, the mains input should be a bit more sturdy than that. But that's what you get with cheap products from the middle of nowhere that have no model number or anything. Obviously, if this was the genuine Sony charger, it would be much better quality, but yeah, I bought the camera second hand and that's what it came with, and that's what works, so it's worked so far, so I guess it shall keep working. There we go. I shall stop the video here. I shall come back tomorrow morning, possibly, and we'll plug it in and see if it goes up in flames. It probably won't. Hopefully. I don't want it to. I want it to work. But we'll see what happens, and then that'll be that. Alright, it's the next morning, and it's time for the moment of truth. I have the power cord here plugged in, and I'm going to put it into the charger, and we'll see if it goes up in flames. Hopefully it won't. That would be bad. Amusing, but bad. So let's see. If I put this in, this light should come up green, and there should be no flames. So let's go and see. There we go. We've got a green light and we've got no flames. I hear no arcing or anything, which is good. Right, now I get my camera here. It's a Sony DSC WX5. I love how this camera focuses for 1 second and then it goes back to not focused. It's hilariously terrible. Anyway, there we go. Take the battery out of my camera and put that in there, and now the light goes red, showing that the battery is not charged properly, and then I'll leave it until it is charged, which will probably be like an hour. So yeah, obviously we won't be watching that, but there we go. The thing seems to be fixed. The mains plug, main socket is reattached, resoldered, we get power, the thing seems to work, and it looks like it has much better mechanical support now with a whole lot of epoxy stuck under it. So yeah, there you go. Something to think about. I'm sure there are other ways to fix that. I was just thinking actually about the idea of using JB Weld, which I thought of before. It's a better quality epoxy, but it probably wouldn't be very good on a mains connector because it is actually full of little bits of metal, and that's what increases the strength of it. So yeah, you wouldn't want to have any metal-based epoxy around a mains connector, I don't think. But standard epoxy, araldite, other things, 2-part stuff, that doesn't have metal in it would probably be fine. Maybe you could also get away with double-sided tape or any other kind of glue, I suppose. But yeah, just make sure you wait for the glue to fully cure, whatever you use, especially if you've got it around a mains connector. You don't want arcing through the glue or anything. But there we go. That's seems to be a good fix. Hopefully that'll solve that problem, and that will be usable for a good amount of time. Hope you enjoyed that one. Hope that was interesting, and I'll see you next time.